Yesterday, I went down to the river here and I did you a little video about how a river saved my life. However, my iPhone that I was recording on hadn't got enough memory left. And when I got back, only half of the recording had actually come through. Interestingly, it stopped just on the word water. But I thought, this is a sign, isn't it? That sometimes when it is just too much, everything has to stop and go back into the water from whence we came. So sharing with you where I'm at right now, at the end of November, coming into December, feeling the water element calling me into letting myself be held by literally the water in my bath, salty water bath, but also the water that's in me, to feel that buoyancy that is there when I sit back and I let myself feel the support, yes, of Mother Earth, but also of the water within. And to look at this connection between how we flow from the metal element and crystals into the water element and flow. And it's not just a sudden change, is it? No. It's a gradual procession of the seasons. And so what I want to do is, I got a bit excited when I realized this, that dear Dr. Masaru Emoto made crystals from water, showing how water holds memory, but also showing the connections of that information of the crystals that is held within water. So I got my crystal, my water oracle deck out from him, and I thought, should we do it? Should we just do a little shuffle up and see which one of these water element, crystal water element cards wants to come up for us here? We're tuning into the waters. I'm being told there's going to be 3 cards. That's the first one. First one is peace of mind. Look at this. I'll get it in close for you. And peace of mind of being. Just breathing that in, breathing that into your waters. Gratitude there. And I'm going to take the top card and the bottom one. And the top one was the adrenal halo. So this is connected with our adrenal glands and the kidneys, which of course is definitely part of the water element, which is what we're going to get into, clearing the energy from, post-traumatic stress and adrenaline. So this is a very key part of how the water element can help us activate the channels of discharge and receive, and to nourish our kidneys, definitely. And the bottom card was the healing Hader. Oh, look at that. Well, that's reminding me of the colors of the autumn. So maybe there's a connection there. It says release, healing Hader, release. I guess that's releasing what no longer needs to be in your system. Again, absolutely central to our Qigong practice. But how did a river save my life? Well, that's quite a dramatic statement, but it definitely brought me back to life. Yeah, so long story short, after I'd given the keys back to my home in Lymington in the UK and stopped teaching 15 classes a week and just focused on the wisdom training, which was about every couple of months coming in for a weekend, totally manageable and totally what I love to do at that level of sharing. And I was exhausted. I had, I just let go of everything. It was a huge dare. I felt like the fool in the tarot deck that was teetering on the edge of the cliff going, oh, what am I going to do now? I'm just knowing that as I take that step, just trusting that I will be held and there will be, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And there's that saying that when you make a bold step, the universe comes to meet you and some, or worse to that effect. And what happened was, after I'd done some staying in friends' houses in spare rooms, and done some house sitting, so that all happened in the winter of I can't even remember. I'm not remembering numbers at the moment. I'm really so into my right brain right now. But anyway, it was several years ago. It was the winter, and then come the summer, it was a friend of mine was living in Austria, and he was doing some renovation work on a house, and there was a spare room that I could stay in. Did I want to come and stay for the summer? Okay, is this place quiet? Yes, it's on the site of an old monastery. Is this place steeped in nature? Yes, it's in an old forest and there's a river that runs through it. I said yes. And I packed my little knapsack on my back and trundled off. It wasn't actually, it was a wheel along suitcase. And gave myself the remit of not expecting anything, not doing anything, sleeping for as long as I want to sleep, meditating for as long as I want to meditate, maybe doing some Qigong. After all, this is what I was looking for. Where is my practice? And I was in my early 50s, so I was coming into menopause time. Well, I was, yeah, really in it. And I was looking for who I really am, and how I can resource myself with all the tools and techniques that I so easily share and happily share with others. Where were they for me? Where was this practice for me? And the house that we were staying in was on the banks of the river, but in order to be able to get to the river, I had to walk three or 4 minutes down through this big old meadow, through these old trees. I did this so many times, and the river beckoned me in. Reasonably fast flowing. I can, as I'm sensing going into that space now, I can hear it. I can hear the sound, like when you go to the beach. The sound of the waves is much louder than we remember. But whenever I've done any recordings at the beach, it's the sounds of the water that completely overtake. It's like, oh, this is interesting. Same with the water of the rushing river. And it was a wide river, and there's some boulders in it halfway down, and there was a little water cascading, waterfally type bit, just a small one, but enough for the rush of water and this cleansing quality. And I would just go and stand by the river and watch it flow, and know that in my stillness of observation, I was still in the flow because of this procession of time. But I was choosing to resource myself in the stillness of being whilst watching other indications of the flow of life. That river became my best friend. It beckoned me in with such ease of, I don't know, compassion of being. The river was the river. I am me. I have water in me. And the water would speak to me. It would speak to me of this deep resource, of this deep longing for me to sink into the element that's within me, and to recognize it outside of myself as well, where I can be, where there are great expanses of water, and where I can be with high quality water that I'm imbibing, and water being it's a metaphor throughout the Taoist texts for transformation. And it's the same components within it, H2O, from the tiniest drop to the biggest sea. And so there's plenty for me to be meditating on and to chat about. And I'm seeing the river that's come down from the mountains, so it will have snow, so it's quite a cold river. And then all the wildlife that's around it, and this steep bank on the other side of the river, that were these old trees that were like, they were so tall. And I'm from the New Forest. I mean, I know about established trees, particularly the oaks, but these trees like felt double the size, if not more. It felt like I was in a primordial forest, suspended in time, and yet watching how nature does her stuff. And so my practice was standing and listening, yeah, to the water, but also to responses in myself of going, yeah, you've manifested this time that you needed. And I know I was lucky. I had 7 weeks. This is the only time this has ever happened in my life, but the timeliness of it was perfect. And after several weeks of this being my practice, as it was the summertime, the height of the river started to descend because there wasn't quite so much snow or rain, And eventually what got shown was the boulders were actually within the river's pathway across the river. And yeah, I was invited into stepping stone my way into being in the middle of the river. And I'd go in with my bare feet, of course, and I'd be standing in places where some of my feet were submerged, and I could feel the force of the water initially coming from behind me. And this is one of our Qigong practices, is imagining yourself standing in a fast flowing river. And so I could see how the water was showing me the reality of my practice, of experiencing that and letting the cleansing quality of the water clear me from behind and sloosh it straight out and down. And then I'm like, yeah, what about the front of me? So I'd turn around and let the front of me be cleared by the water. And, you know, there would be the wildlife around. There was a heron that would glide down and through, and there was a kingfisher. And because I was a silent component of this scene, I felt so part of nature. It reminded me of my true nature. And this is what I mean by this river saved me, is it showed me who I truly am. And you can tell I'm still have such a strong connection with that river. And I remember it when I go down to the river here, but also as we're in the water element, coming up the water element, this is the energy that I'm going to be bringing into the next few weeks as we soothe our way to solstice, to bring in the soothing quality of water, and how we can be inspired by its stillness to be able to respond to its flow. So there am I, standing in the middle of the water, standing in the middle of the river, in the water, with the different directions, and playing with that and feeling the breeze and the air and the trees. And then the forms would start revealing themselves to me and showing me what was my system was calling for. And this is very much how I share the teachings, even though I will be inviting you to experience specific forms and stillness and kindness. Also, when it comes to your own practice, it's taking what makes sense to you. Do you know what I mean? So what feels right for you, what nourishes you, what helps you step into the truth of who you really are to a deeper degree, so that you can really trust yourself and your intuition and your knowing and your wisdom. And this is all in your waters. The water element nourishes the nerves and the brain, as well as your bones and all the fluids in your body. It's your primordial Jing essence of being. This is your creative essence, your sexuality, your way of being truly you in the world. So if you'd like to come and join me, hop over. There's a link below that I will leave for you. Just have a little look, have a feel in, and just notice how your waters respond. And if you want to drop me a message, comment, question, I'm here for you. And we're all in this together. We all share the water, we all share the earth. And the water that's traveling through us now is the same molecules, or are the same molecules that also traveled through our ancestors. I know, powerful, eh? Which means that if we go with Dr. Emoto's work, top of the pack here is hope. That the energy that we give to the waters in our bodies is powerful, strong messages to ourselves, so that we really need to be aware of how we speak to ourselves, indeed. But when we let that water go through, like sweat or weeing it out, there's an energy of us that also goes into the world, that has a memory of the body that it inhabited. And this is another way that we can promote the hope and the kindness and the compassion for the human condition, for us all to be in the flow or the stillness of what is being called through in the moment for each and every one of us. Thank you for listening. I look forward to sharing more wisdom of the water with you soon.